This absolute beauty's been in our possession for over 90 days. We have put over 200 hours on it, but the demo period is up. And before we send it back, I'm gonna give you guys my thoughts. All right, guys, real quick before we get too deep into this video here, I just want to remind everybody of the arrangement here. This is a brand new Hx210al that Hyundais of America sent for a 90-day demo on this channel. The reason why they do that is because of your guys' awesome support to the channel, so I cannot thank you enough. But one thing I absolutely love about working with these guys is they got so much confidence in these machines. They're like, Mike, use it. Tell the world what you think. They don't even ask to review the review video. They just said post it. So let's go through this thing with a fine-tooth comb. I'm going to tell you guys what I like about it, what I don't like about it, a few tweaks I would make, and some things I absolutely love. All right, guys, don't want to go too far down a rabbit hole here starting off because it can be personal preference, but there is a few things on aesthetics and appearance on this machine that I want to hit on real quick that I think are important. One is the paint. After going to a lot of these larger auctions like Ritchie Brothers, you see these Hyundai machines that have been sitting out in the sun for 10, 12, 15 years compared to some other manufacturers. And these things, the paint seems to hold up really well, which tells me it's got a high quality paint. Talking to the guys at Hyundai, I believe they pull some technology from their automotive side and put into these machines, but I think the quality of paint on a piece of equipment is something that's often overlooked. The other thing is when they went to the A series, they changed the boom from the yellow to the dark blue. I think that's a big deal because, as you guys can maybe even see right there, this is the business in the machine. This is the side that's going to get dirty, so it really helps it look a lot cleaner doing that. Also, I just kind of like the scheme itself. One thing on aesthetics, I'm going to call this a little bit more of an old school machine. The hood is a lot lower, the back's a lot squattier, greatly helps visibility in there, and I just personally overall like that particular look. Just wanted to mention those few things. Let's open some panels and look inside. So for you guys that don't know, this is actually the third Hyundai machine we had on the channel. We started off with an LCR 145, we had the HX85A, and now the 210. And every machine I've always said the same thing about. There is nobody on the market that does a better job of laying out their machine, keeping them organized, keeping them easy to work on, all metal panels, all heavy duty stuff. It don't matter where you look. We can open any panel you guys want. Everything is just so neatly routed, so neatly placed, easy to feel, easy to access, easy to check. They have never disappointed me in that department. Whenever I first ran into Hyundai, I guess it's been 3 years ago now at the ICUEE show. That's what initially drew me to these machines, was whenever I got to look around them, I thought, you know what? Somebody had the mechanic, the operator, and the service guy in mind. All right, coming around to the other side of the machine, open this panel up, you guys will find more of the same. This is where all the filters are at. Everything's accessible, very easy to get to right here. Everything is labeled, all the hoses are labeled, all the wiring harnesses are labeled. Nice, neat, just very professionally laid out is the best way I know how to put it. One other thing I've randomly found that I like about this machine is it's got these little plastic latches here that hold the doors open. A lot of machines have a metal rod here, and if you bump this or hit this, it gives it a lot of flex and a lot of movement there before it actually damages or destroys a panel. So pretty neat little system. Just kind of lift that up. Trying to do it one-handed here. Lift that up, closer beautifully. Check hydraulic oil right there. Some people have mentioned that they don't like that because it can get damaged or get a stick in there. I personally like it. It's a quick, easy check. You can be literally walking by the machine and see it. Obviously, it's a little bit low right here, but I don't have the machine in the right order. Now, one thing that I would possibly tweak a little bit is not necessarily the location of the def tank, but the access to it. You got two different ways to get to it. One is from here, or you can pop the front step and get to it from here. I don't know why, but both ways seem just a little bit odd if you're trying to fill it with a 2.5 gallon jug. Also wish there was maybe some sort of spill protection around this a little bit, because if you have anything in your toolbox there and you spill a little bit of def, well, we all know where it's going, and that stuff's not the most user-friendly stuff in the world. But I do like that you have options. It is not a huge deal. I think there's just maybe a slight room for improvement there. I personally would like to be able to fill it without opening the panel, but being behind panels also eliminates the risk of contamination, and that's a big deal with the DEF. So that's definitely not the end of the world or anything I'd base a decision off of. Now, the hot button topic on this particular machine is the engine. Let's jump up there and take a look at it. All right, this little guy right here seems to be the hot button topic on this particular machine. So for you guys that don't know, this is the 210. The 210 and the 220, which is the next size up, are very, very similar machines. There's a few differences, but one of the major differences is the engine package in them. This machine here, the 210, has the 4.5 liter Cummins engine in it, which is a 4-cylinder. The 220 has the 6.7 liter engine in it, which is a 6-cylinder. Now here's the kicker. This engine right here, the 4.5 liter, that guy, he's rated for 170 horse continuous, 190 horse peak. You look at the spec on the 220, horsepower ratings are the exact same. Now, I purposely went with the 210 for this engine for a couple different reasons, and here's my rationality. First off, if I don't need 2 more extra of everything, why do I want them? That's a lot of extra moving parts and a lot more wear I just don't need to worry about. If this engine goes down or something major happens to it, this engine is considerably cheaper to work on and replace than the 6-cylinder. Now, a lot of guys will make the argument, I would much rather have a 6-cylinder engine not working as hard as this 4-cylinder engine working a little bit harder. Slightly disagree with that as well, because this engine is designed to do exactly what it's asking it to do. An excavator application is very easy on an engine because it pretty much runs a constant RPM. It's not like a truck or a dozer where you're on and off the throttle all the time. And with these emission style engines, they need heat. The more heat, the better they work. So why not have this little guy in here maybe working a little bit harder, producing more heat to keep everything working efficiently. One other thing I like about this is the emission system is probably one of the most streamlined systems I've seen on a piece of equipment yet. No EGR on the engine at all. Everything is nicely mounted over there in one place, easy to work on, easy to replace if you need it. And this engine, if anybody that's worked on these engines, you don't see a modern engine that just looks that simple whatsoever. But here was the final decision maker I had in going with this particular engine. Fuel's not getting any cheaper. You need to be as fuel efficient as you can. That was one of my major concerns with going with a bigger machine, is the amount of fuel I was going to burn. I will show you guys in the monitor here in a minute, but this machine here has been averaging between 3 and 3.1 gallons per hour, and that's running on the highest setting, and that has continued to come down as the engines got broke in. I haven't personally ran any of the Hyundai 220s for an extended period of time, but I believe they're closer to 5. Other competitor machines that are running the 6-cylinder engines, they are around 5 to 5.5 gallons per hour. 2 gallons per hour savings is huge over the lifetime of the machine, especially with the fuel costs going up. And that is big. That is big. I have 0 complaints with power, no issues whatsoever for this engine, and I am very, very, very happy with the way this thing has particularly performed in this machine. And I see no reasons to need a bigger 6-cylinder engine in this particular application. Maybe we'll get a demo at 220 and get it out on the job at some point, and I'll have some better information from you. But from what I'm gathered so far, this guy right here is the ticket for this machine. No complaints whatsoever. Before we jump up in the cab, guys, just want to touch on a few things the way this machine is spec'd out. Hyundai does offer a couple different counterweight options. This machine does have the heavier counterweight of those options. It is a very, very well balanced machine. I don't have a whole lot of complaints about the balance on it, but I don't think I'd want any less counterweight, so definitely glad it's got the heavier counterweight on it. They also offer 3 different stick sizes. This is the medium size. Really, really pleased with that. I think it's a great, the longer that stick gets, the more reach you get, but you also lose some breakout force. I think this is a good compromise between reach and breakout force. This seems to be a very, very powerful machine. No complaints about that whatsoever. Also, I want to talk a little bit about the work brow coupler, pin grabber coupler and thumb. In case you guys missed it, the guys from Work Brow come down. We actually installed this here in the shop. And a few things. The first video I did of the rock wall on this particular one, I had a lot of guys commenting about, can you adjust the pressure or the grip strength of this thing? And the answer is yes, but that was not the issue. Honestly, guys, that was just me trying to learn how to use it. I was so used to the other ones This one here's got a little bit more finesse in the control, which I really like. And I didn't know how much power I had. I didn't want to destroy the machine. I didn't want to destroy the rocks. As you guys seen in the other videos of building the rock walls, where we started getting a little bit more comfortable with it and a little bit more aggressive, it's definitely got the strength. Now, this thing gets compared to the AMI thumb, or a lot of you guys on the internet know as the LD18 thumb. And there is some very, very significant differences, and I want to kind of hit on them a little bit. This here, on the LD18 thumb, they got a link that goes from here to here, basically. Well, this one here has got an extra pivot right here. The reason why they do that is that makes this setup a lot more universal to fit on many different manufacturers of machines, because that bracket can get welded wherever it needs to. I actually do like the other setup better. I think it's provides a little bit more strength, but I understand why they go with this setup, because it does help keep the cost down a little bit. And this is honestly, I've ran Chris's machine a little bit, and that's a very, very nice thumb. But this is probably one of the smoother setups that I have ever used. I have been my expectations were probably here, and they've actually been exceeded, which is actually saying a lot. I have no complaints about this whole setup. The other comment I get a lot is Chris's thumb is wider. I don't want a wider thumb. You guys got to remember, I will put a 2-foot bucket on this thing for stumping or field tile or footer works, and sometimes I need to be able to get that thumb down in the ditch without it grabbing. This is the perfect width thumb for me. It'll just barely go down in a 2-foot trench without a whole lot of issues. It still works good for clearing and etc. For what Chris does, the wider thumb is definitely the way to go. For what we do, I personally prefer a slightly narrower thumb. It's got a tine that'll go between every tooth on this 42-inch bucket, and that's exactly what I was looking for. The other comment we get occasionally is it should have had more of a hook on the end of it here. I go back and forth on that. After all that, I'm pretty happy with the way this is. It works nice with that setup as far as picking stuff up off the ground close to you or far away. Some of those bigger rocks, maybe, but I think overall this is a really, really good shape, and I don't know if I'd change a whole lot about it. The biggest issue, and this is an issue with a lot of other manufacturers, just not work brow, but these center two tines hit the bottom of the boom up there. So we're gonna have to possibly do something, make some adjustments on that if we end up keeping the machine. I think we'd only have to take about an inch or inch and a half off of them, but even me being a little bit more experienced of an operator, whenever you're working in close, it's hard to, you guys can see the scratches right there. It's hard to keep it out of there. So that is one adjustment I wish that would be made. And like I said, that's just not a work brow thing. Other manufacturers kind of fight the same thing. But overall, guys, honestly, we have abused this thumb, and I've never grabbed a rock or a log or anything and thought, man, I don't know if it's going to hold up or not. I think it's going to be on there for the long haul. It's definitely a good setup. Coupler's the same. It works awesome. We put the bucket on both ways. Works great. Easy to grease, easy to maintain. I have no complaints about that whatsoever. This is a 42-inch high capacity bucket. A lot of people ask me, it's at 1.2 yards is what it is. Heaped up, it basically takes 12 of those to fill the 30-ton haul truck. If this machine ends up staying around, we'll probably end up coming up with a couple different bucket options. But overall, that whole setup wouldn't change a thing. Love it. It's awesome. All right, let's climb up in the cab and check her out from the seat up here. This has nothing to do with Hyundai. This has probably been the biggest adjustment running this machine. I am so used to just walking up here and jumping right in the machine. And let me tell you, that step is a little bit bigger than the old 120 or 140. You definitely have to use this one down here. It's pretty much an extra step up in the cab. But man, once you get in here and set down, you guys have probably seen me running this thing kicked back with my legs crossed. It is extremely, extremely comfortable machine to run. And this does have the all-around view cameras on it, which we'll look at here in a minute. Man, the visibility, somebody needs to clean windows, but the visibility out of this cab is absolutely superb without the use of any mirrors, cameras, or anything. I'm a little bit old school. I like to put visuals on stuff, kind of know where my boundaries are. And I just feel very, very comfortable sitting in this seat, having all my sight lines I got. It's I've set in a lot of different machines. I don't think anybody even comes close to the sightline visibility from the cab of what this thing does. It is absolutely incredible. They've done some stuff in the cab over the last couple years to improve stuff. One thing I've always mentioned, I absolutely love, we're gonna go ahead and start the machine up here. One thing I've always mentioned I absolutely love is the Hyundai monitor. It is absolutely awesome. It is so user-friendly. They've got it to where you can do the touch screen. You can also do it from the buttons here, or you can also use this knob here to change stuff. See it? So you got all kinds of different options about how you want to go about doing stuff, whether you're comfortable. Some of the newer operators might be more comfortable with the touch screen. Some of the older operators, maybe like Jerry, he likes to use the buttons. This is a cool little feature right here because you can kind of stay kicked back and not have to reach for anything, just go at her. So, well, can't go in there, not allowed. But yeah, it works awesome. Very easy to see. This is I've said this before, this has got to be one of the more user-friendly setups I've actually seen out there. Air conditioner works awesome, Bluetooth radio works awesome, plenty of foot room in here. I'm a tall guy. Air ride seat, vents about anywhere imaginable. One thing worth mentioning real quick, guys, is how quiet this machine actually is. It is actually running half throttle right now, and if it wasn't for the direct drive fan pulling air, not for sure you'd hear it running at all. It is very, very impressive. Makes communicating on the job site very easy, conducting business, phone calls, etc. very easy. Super impressed with how quiet it is, especially if you close up the cab. You can't hardly hear this thing run at all, which is absolutely awesome. A few other things I want to point out in the monitor real quick. This has got the fine-tune adjustments on it. Go into mode, combination speed settings. You got several different options here. Load sensitivity, this is basically how fast the machine reacts to whatever input you put into it. You can also change the balance. I got swing versus boom. Basically what I'm saying here is if I'm demanding both of these functions to happen, I want the boom to take more of a priority over the swing. Same thing with boom arm balance, same concept there. This is arm versus boom. And then you can, a few other settings here. I don't want to go through all of them for you guys, but I actually do like these settings. They do change the characteristic of the machine quite a bit. I do wish that they offered presets in there for doing different things, like fine grading a septic versus top loading trucks. I would change these settings. It'd be nice if it had like a preset 1, 2, or 3. I don't know if that's possible or not, but it would be a cool little option. The only other critiques I have about this monitor is every time you shut the machine off and start it back up to get the thumb to work, you actually got to hit the work button. Not a big deal, but it'd be nice if you could put that into your initial mode and program it in to where it actually started working without actually hitting a button. The other thing is, and I know this is getting pretty petty here, guys, is whenever you turn the machine off, it automatically starts internal travel. That's where Kleeman runs at all the time. I prefer to run in high-speed Rabbit. For you guys that don't know, the machine will actually shift back and forth on its own. Most machines have a switch. This one here is actually integrated into the monitor. I wish there was a way to program that to choose where you could choose whether it was Turtle or Rabbit. Again, not a huge deal, but guys, I have very little complaints about this. It's actually got the air conditioner integrated into this one. Much more user-friendly system than some other machines I own. Very, very nice. Like I said before, the AC works awesome. This is, like I said, you guys probably see me in some videos sitting back with my legs crossed, just as comfortable as can be. I find myself very comfortable, very cozy in this machine. Hyundai has come a long ways in the last 4 or 5 years with creature comforts and amenities in the cab. It is absolutely awesome here. The only other complaint I have is I wish the cup holder would actually fit a full-size beverage can. It's a little bit on the small stuff. We do have the big gulp one back here, but my Pepsi can won't quite fit in the cup holder. But we'll get past that. We'll get past that if we need to. So, last thing I want to cover is the overall characteristics and the performance of the machine. All right, guys, like I mentioned in the beginning of the video, we've had this thing in our possession for over 90 days, put over 200 hours on it. We put it in a lot of different scenarios, from ripping trees out of the ground to precision work, installing field tile, to stacking huge rocks in walls, to the lake job where we were just sitting there top loading trucks repetitively. And this thing has performed flawlessly in all those different scenarios. A few things I want to hit on though real quick. The strength of this machine is just that, is the strength. This thing has got brute force out the wazoo. It has continued to impress me time and time again with the strength, the breakout force, the balance of the machine is absolutely superb. The feel of operating this machine, like I said, it is probably one of the easiest machines to learn how to operate. It is very, very user friendly. It is very easy to be smooth and natural in this machine. Anybody can pick it up really quick. Matt has really excelled with operating this machine. He's done a great job with it, and a lot of that goes compliments to the machine itself, especially with the monitor, having all those adjustabilities in there. You can kind of go in and customize it to a newer operator or a more experienced operator, or your operating style, which is what I've done. One thing I wish it had a little bit more of is boom up speed and arm speed. It is very comparable with other models, other competitors of its size. There is a few of them out there that is a little bit faster. Not saying it's slow, just saying it could be a little bit faster. But if I had to choose between speed and strength, I would definitely take the strength any day of the week. I have been absolutely tickled death with this. I have been comfortable in this machine from day one whenever I got into it. And that is saying a lot, because you guys have watched the channel for a while know I'm a little bit picky about my excavators, and this thing here from day one, I just felt like I was at home in it, and no complaints whatsoever. Now, one thing I did not cover while we were up in the cab, and I may do a whole separate video on it. If you guys remember back, we did do the 2D grade system on it, which is a factory Hyundai 2D grading system, and there's a lot to cover there, a lot to digest. We have used it from time to time. We still continue to use it, but I will probably do a whole separate video on that, so stay tuned for that. That begs, there is one lingering question left. Now, one lingering question you guys keep asking me, is the machine staying or is the machine going? And right there is your answer, guys. We have got this thing stickered up. It is officially part of the Dirt Perfect fleet. What's the old saying? You got to put your money where your mouth is. That is exactly what I have done. Now, with that being said, this decision did not come without a lot of research, a lot of studying, a lot of looking at different options, different used machines, different new machines, different brands. And this one here, I have decided was the absolute best fit for us for sure. I'm not lying to you guys whenever I said I absolutely fell in love with this machine. It does everything I needed to do for this size machine. It gets the job done. It's got the strength. It's got the right fuel burn. It's affordable for me to operate. This is the largest purchase my company has ever made, Simon's Concrete and Excavating. So this is a $200,000 plus machine, guys. This is a big purchase. This is a big deal for the channel. It's a big deal for my company. It's a big deal for me. And with all that being said, I know I've commented on the channel in the past that I don't need a larger machine. I don't want a larger machine. And I still stand by a lot of those comments I said in the past. Bigger is not always better. Bigger is not more profitable. A lot of the jobs we've done with this machine, we could have done with the 140 or the 120, with the exception of possibly setting those larger rocks. But at the end of the day, what it comes down to is two things. This does allow us to get some jobs done quicker, and if that gets me home to my family where I can spend more time with them, that is definitely a plus. And this thing will hopefully, especially with the combination of Bubba Dump in the fleet, open us up to some larger jobs we maybe not have been as comfortable tackling in the past. So I'm excited. I hope you guys are excited. This is a big deal. This is actually the one and only, the first piece of new equipment I've ever bought. Everything up to this point has been well used, so be curious to see how it transpires over time. I'm excited to own this machine over time and give you guys reports and kind of let you know what's it like at 500 hours, what's it like at 1,000 hours, what's it like after we do I still have the same thoughts about after it's got 1,500 hours on it. So now we get to know, guys, this machine is going to be around for a while. It's not going anywhere. You guys will see it in plenty more videos coming up. Real quick before we wrap this one up, I want to give a huge thanks for Hyundai for all they've done to support the channel, and without your guys' support, they wouldn't support me, so thanks to you guys. Another person I want to mention is Diamond Equipment, which is actually the dealer on this one. They have been an absolute pleasure to work with. Everything from all the legwork they did to make sure whenever we went to install the thumb that day, we had no issues whatsoever. They've been a pleasure to work with on the purchase of this machine. Very easy. They're still what I consider a mom and pop operation, and it's one of the few dealerships where I felt like I'm at home and I'm getting treated right. I have no complaints. So if you guys are ever looking for any equipment, they're also a case dealer. They deal for a few other brands, obviously Hyundai being one of them, but be sure you give the guys at Diamond Equipment a chance. They are regional with us. I believe they got 5 different stores, but they have been awesome to work with, as well as Hyundai. So guys, but there it is. There is the all new Hx210al. My thoughts on it, guys. Like I said, it's here to stay. Stay tuned. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, give her a big old thumbs up. I want to make sure you don't miss out on what's coming up next, including some more awesome videos with this piece of equipment. I'd consider subscribing so we can catch you on the next one. Later, guys.